Begin this hour with the massive news that the government will end the use of the Bibby Stockholm barge for housing migrants off England's south coast as part of an overhaul of the asylum system. The contract for the barge, moored in Dorset, will not be renewed past January, as demand for such accommodation will be reduced by moves to clear the asylum backlog, as announced by the Home Office yesterday. Now, the vessel was one of several sites, including the military bases, RAF Wethersfield in Essex and RAF Scampton, that's the site of the Dam Busters, if you recall, in Lincolnshire, used by the previous Tory government in a bid to cut the cost of housing migrants in hotels. Well, I'm joined now by our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, welcome to the show. So, yeah, the clearest indication yet of the direction of travel for the Labour Party. Day one, Rwanda got the chop. Now, Bibby, well, at least that's one boat they've stopped. RAF camps looking like they'll get the chop too. Mark, the big question is, well, immigration isn't coming down anytime soon. The boats, if anything, are going up. They're coming in bigger and bigger numbers. So, Mark, that asks the question, where on earth would all these asylum seekers be housed?
And I can tell you that our producer in Kent is indicating that more migrants are due to arrive illegally across the English Channel in the next 24 hours, probably beginning on the evening tide later this evening, because those weather conditions in the Channel are settling down. And as sure as night follows day, when conditions improve, then those migrants come across the Channel, making that illegal journey. So, of course, what does the government then do with those who are continuing to come over here and adding to the asylum backlog? Well, their policy, it's very clear, it's their stated aim, is to rapidly diminish that asylum backlog until all those asylum applications have been dealt with, and along the way, end the use of the likes of the Bibby Stockholm barge, the RAF bases and the hundreds of hotels up and down the country. That will be welcomed by many people who've seen these hotels in particular going out of use for the local community. But the flip side of that, Martin, is you have to accommodate these people somewhere. Now, if they're granted asylum, they still have to be accommodated in the community, and that will fall to the local authorities right across the country to find room for them, probably in social housing stock. That makes social housing stock all the more limited for people in these local areas to access. And also there's the issue of processing people very quickly through the asylum system and then either granting them asylum or giving them leave to remain because you can't return them to a dangerous country, will act as a pull factor, critics say. It will just encourage more people to come across the Channel because the people smugglers will be able to say to them, under a Labour government, you will get your application process very quickly and likely then move into a nice council house somewhere around the country.
And Mark White, that then asks the very real question. Again, no surprises. It was their stated aim. Angela Rayner said on June the 26th, every part of Britain will take their fair share of migrants, along with that promise to build 1.5 million social houses. But asylum seekers, Mark White, will be eligible for that social housing that is in short supply for British people already. Mark, is this really going to stop the problem, or is it simply going to dissipate and move the problem around working class communities, no doubt, around Britain?
Well, I think there's no doubt that as part of the stated policy now of the Labour government, then, you know, people will move throughout the country and be absorbed into local authority areas. And as a consequence, they will have to be housed, and that will probably fall to council or social housing stocks and alike to make room for these people. Look, there are no easy solutions to this crisis, and the former Conservative government needs to answer some key questions as well about what on earth it was planning to do with that huge backlog of tens of thousands, up to 90,000 asylum seekers in the system as well, because they were just sat in limbo. They had passed a bill in the Commons that meant that anybody crossing the English Channel after after March 2023 was no longer eligible to claim asylum. So they were just stacking up in hotels. Well, the Labour government is passing a statutory instrument that will mean that those who have been in limbo in hotels will actually be processed. But in saying there's no easy solution to this, that is evident by the fact that you can process them more quickly, but in doing that, once the decision has been made, you're still left with what to do with them. Because, as you mentioned before, Martin, more than 60% of asylum applicants are granted asylum. That doesn't even begin to address the numbers who can't then be returned to their home countries because they're dangerous countries that are then still given leave to remain. So the vast majority of people coming across the Channel do eventually just get to stay in this country.
You know, Mark White, Nigel Farage a short while ago gave his maiden speech in Parliament, and he said the previous Labour regime under David Blunkett as Home Secretary, they were tough. They sent people back. He doesn't think the same thing will happen under this government because of the ECHR. Mark White, this one is going to roll and roll and roll. Thank you so much. Experts analysis, as ever, Mark White. Thank you.